guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Wow, we have got ourselves a monster today. We're going to learn how to do Panic Attack by Judas Priest. Glenn Tipton and Richie Faulkner have thrown us quite a challenge here, and this one is a beast. There's just a ton of killer riffs. Richie's got a couple solos in here that are just going to take about a decade for most people to even attempt. But we're going to do the whole thing. It's just going to be a fun one. It's going to be a minute. We're going to be here a while, but well worth it in the end, I think, because it's a really fun song to play once you get underneath your fingers. So we're going to go from that intro even to all the way through all the riffs and the solos as well. So I hope you guys will join me. Now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, all that stuff. Watch my videos. It really, really helps when you do. And you can like and comment, that's fine, but just watch them. Just engage with the video somehow. And if you truly want to keep these videos going and these many hours it takes to do a video like this, please join my Guitar Academy. That's the only way I survive. And you'll see a link to that in the description below. And that link will give you a free 7-day trial. And you'll have full access to the entire academy, which is all my courses for complete beginners to more advanced courses in technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone. I do live streams every weekend with Academy members only, and you get personalized support from me as well. So please jump on board. All right, let's jump into this. There are 2 9.5 steps. So E flat tuning. So E flat or D sharp, A flat or G sharp, D flat or C sharp, G flat or F sharp, B flat or A sharp, and E flat or D sharp. All right, so we have this intro here that there's a little keyboard line that comes in, or synth track, and then the guitar comes in and plays with it. And the guitar goes 2 times through with it, playing the melody. That's what I played at the intro there. And then you hear some kind of guitar chords come underneath that as well. So the chords just, when the big guitars come in, and that's kind of the 3rd time through is when you really hear them. It's just an E5 chord. So that's just the open E, then 7th fret on the A, 9th on the D, 9th on the G, and then open B and open high E. And then it goes to this D power chord, but it's an open D power chord with the 5th in the bass. So that's going to be the 3rd fret there on the B string. By the way, this whole intro, I've tried to find multiple live performances to see this. They're not playing. There's a backing track playing the intro, so I can't see exactly how they're figuring it out, especially when we get to the melody of the intro. I can't find anything where they're actually physically playing it. They don't come in until the actual song kicks in. So anyway, so this is my version of it, but I think it's pretty much how it's played. But anyway, so we have that D power chord here, so you can just play that. Just like a D, the 3rd fret there on the B, 2nd fret there on the G, open D, open A. Then it goes back to the E5. And then we're gonna basically end it by going to the C power chord with the G in the bass. So that's just that 3rd fret across the A and the E barred, and then the 5th fret across on the D and the G. And then back to that D power chord with A in the bass. So let's get that. All right, when it gets to the actual song. So what's going on with that melody? So this comes in, and this melody's played twice. So we have this. So that's just kind of one part of it, and it repeats that, and then there's a whole section, and then it repeats the whole section twice. So this right here. Now, like I said, I don't know if this is exactly where they're playing it, but most likely it is. But there's no video of them actually playing this live. So we're going to start here with the 15th fret on the high E and to the 15th fret on the B. And then you're going to roll from the 12th fret on the high E to the 12th fret on the B. Then you can do the 15th fret there on the B, and then 14th fret on the G, but it's a little kind of a bend and release. So we kind of start the same pattern now, but then the next one. So that's just going to be the roll from the 12th over on the high E to the B, then back to that 15 on the B, 14 on the G, and then 12 on the B, 12 on the G. And then we're going to start the next one down, so like that. So now we're starting on the third little pair that we did, which is 15 on the B, 14 on the G. Those 12s on the B rolled over to the 12 on the G. And then 14 on the G and the D. So we have this. That's the only time you hear that little slower. And then you're going to end that little phrase. So that's going to be 12, 11 on the G, 12 on the D, 14 on the A, then back over to that 14 on the D. So something like this. So repeat that 3 times. And then we had this little ending. Kind of moves around quite a bit. So that's going to start with 12 on the G, over to 14 on the D, over to 14 on the G. Then 12 on the B, then back to that 14 on G. So it's a little pausing there. So after you're going to play, so from there you're just going to go 15, 12 on the B, then 12 on the high E to 15 on the B, 15 on the high E to 17 on the B. Then here we're going to go to 17 on the high E, still back down to roll over to that 17 on the B, and then 19 on the high E, back to the 17 on the B, and then 22 on the high E, then back to that 17 on the B. So with this. So after you get back to that 17, we have this, which just ends it by going 2019 on the B, then 1916 on the G, over to that 17th fret there on the B. So the whole thing. Then you just kind of repeat it, that whole thing again. So that whole thing is done twice, and then we get to the this kind of first kind of just guitar riff, looks like this. Okay, so that's the first one you hear. Now you can do all downstrokes if you want there. When I see them play it live, they're alternate picking it, so it does change the sound a little bit when you alternate pick it. So I'm alternate picking it throughout the song because I don't really see them doing all these like rapid downstrokes a lot. They're pretty much, they do a little bit at when they start beefing up the chorus at the end, but it's pretty much alternate picking these riffs. So but it's not very, very fast, so it's kind of easy to play it either way. Anyway, but I'm gonna play it like they do. So we basically have the 7th fret on the A. I know it's the A flat string, but we're just gonna call it an A string. So 7th fret there on the A string, and then 2 hits on the open E. So you're gonna do that 4 times. So I am palm muting it, so it's gonna kind of chunk it up a little bit. And then after you've done that 4 times of basically hitting the open E string twice after each 7, you're gonna do basically hit just the open string once after each 7. So you're gonna go 7, 0, 7, 0. So so all right, so we got that riff going 4 times, and then we have this. All right, so from here, we're basically gonna go, so that's 10, 7 on the A, then the open E. So you basically do that. So you basically do that 10, 7, then the open E, you do it 3 times. Then we're just gonna keep going down up on just on the low E, kind of keep that going. And then you're gonna do that 10, 7 riff 4 times. And put this little tail on it, which is just this D power chord. It's at the 5th fret of the A string. So we have this 3 times, then 4. D power chord. So all together. So after 4 times, then you're gonna go up to this E power chord, the 7th fret of the A. Just kind of slide off of it. And then that takes us, that's basically the end of the intro there. And then Halford comes in, and we have our first verse, which is kind of a variation of this riff that we just played, this 10-7 riff. So the verse looks like this. So right when the vocals come in. All right, so it's kind of a great picking workout. If you can alter to pick that stuff, it's really good. So we're gonna do that 10-7 riff basically 4 times. So it's 10-7 on the A to the open E. Do that 4 times. And then that D power chord. And then you can do that again. And we're basically going to take the riff down a string. So we have this. So that's going to be 10-7 on the D string and then the open A. Basically do it 4 times there. And then you're going to go up and play 12 on the D, open A once, 10 on the D, open A once. All right, and then we have these little triads here that he picks across. So this is good. By the way, if I'm watching anybody, mostly of just getting the right fingerings, like obviously there's many ways that you can play this little triads here, right? So this is the way that Richie Faulkner's playing it. So it's just up here at the 9th fret there on the D, 10 across on the A, 10 on the low E. So So palm muted and just kind of alternate pick across strings. So that's 9 on, so pick from the D to the A to the low E, then again, and then from the D to the A. So it's like an 8-note pattern. And then again here, off of this 7th fret on the D, 9 on the A string, and then 10 on the low E. Same picking pattern. Heavily palm mute those. So it's just that riff basically done twice. And then we have the chorus, which looks like this. All right, moving around. These riffs are not easy either. So it's like everybody looks at the solos in this song and is like, what? But the riffs themselves are quite hairy as well. So we're gonna start it with this. So that's kind of just, so you just play like 5/7, 5/7 on the A, back to the open E, and then 7, and then back to the open E. And a couple hits. So it's basically you're just kind of, and in between it, you're gonna fill up the space by hitting the low open E string palm it. So, right, so the first time is just kind of single notes, and then go up to the 8th fret, slide back down to 7, and then it's gonna be a power chord slide from the D power chord up to the E. So it's, and then we have this. So that, it's going to start here on the 5th fret of the D, and then palm muted here a couple of times there at the 7th fret on the A. Then they're going to change the note on top to the 7th fret on the D, back to that 7th fret on the A, palm muted twice, then 8th fret there on the D, then the 7th fret there on the A, again twice. And then you can end it 3 times hitting the power chord is B flat power chord up to the 6th fret of the low E, then twice on the A power chord at the 5th fret, then twice at the G. So after 2 times of playing it there here, the first time at least, just hit this E power chord, and then we go back into the verse again. So this is when Richie's going to start adding some fills. This is pretty much the only thing I'm not really going to do. Well, there's a couple things I'm not going to do. All the fills in like the verse and stuff. Those are really low in the mix anyway, but I will be doing his solos. But and then in the harmony section, I'm just going to do the low harmony. I don't really, I'm not a big fan of harmony sections. So anyway, so just other than that, it's just the same verse, and then we get to the same chorus again. So we're just kind of repeat the verse and the chorus, and then we get to this. I call this kind of just like bridge number 1, which looks like this. All right, so this right here is kind of like not really, just kind of like nice, kind of let's say how many times you hit each note. It's pretty obvious what I'm doing here, but just kind of keep that consistent down up, heavily palm muted. Just follow the melody. 6, 5, 3, And then what it does, it actually goes into like a power chord version of the chorus riff. So it's just kind of like. So you can see that I'm just kind of sliding 5 to 7 power chord, open E. So back down to a couple hits on the low E. So slide up. And then 8th fret power chord. Back down to the 7. So, and then slide from 5 to 7 power chord again. So, see, here I'm using all downstrokes. So that's what I mean, I'm kind of thicken it up. So I have this. Again. And now they're going to extend this little 6, 5, 3 up to the 8th fret, and then into an F power chord. You kind of strum. So it kind of slides into this 8th fret there on the A and the 10th fret there on the D, and then back to 6, 5, 3. So we have this. All right, from there, it goes into what it's kind of just a variation of the verse riff. It's kind of more of a turnaround. It takes us to bridge number 2, or I'm calling it bridge 2. But it's basically just, so right after this part, we have this. So it's basically that verse riff, just the first part of it. That just done 4 times. All right, then we get to what I call bridge number 2, and riff looks like this. All right, so we're down here in B now. So I'm gonna doing the same rhythm, kind of keeping that consistent on that muted B note there at the second fret of the A string. Then we have a melody on top, and that melody is going to be 4th fret on the D, 3rd fret, open D. And then back 3, 4. And then back up to 3, 4. So you're gonna see the same riff coming in at the very end of this under the second solo. It's an F sharp though. So we had this. And then you kind of start like you're doing the melody again. But on that, when you get to the 3rd fret there, on that little descending, little pinch harmonic, and then we have this. So it's an open D string, 2nd fret there on the G. And then 2nd fret on the D, 4th fret there on the G, and then move that up 1 fret. So we have this. Missed that harmonic. Then you do the riff again. So as soon as you get back up to the 4 here, then you just do this. Which is just this B power chord at the 2nd fret of the A, down to this F sharp power chord at the 2nd fret of the low E, and the 1st fret there. So it's. All right, so so after that, we get to the harmony section. So like I mentioned before, I don't really do all the harmony stuff. I just stick with the low harmony here is kind of like the main one, so I'm just gonna stick with that. and I don't track down a lot. Usually I hate getting in the world of harmony guitar parts. And in reality, there's not these people are going to watch this video and learn all the harmony parts and all the bits and stuff like that. You know, so whatever. I'll still do like the solos, and I do the rhythm work under the solos, because there's some people who you won't play these solos. They just have to play the rhythm stuff, so that's fine. But I'm not going to like write out all these harmony parts. It's just ridiculous. But we will do the main one, so it looks like this. All right, so that kind of gets a little bit crazy at the end. So we had this opening line. So that's going to be the 4th fret there on the G, then over to the 5th fret there on the D, and 7 and 4. Then play 5th fret there on the D, over to 7th on the A. So you kind of repeat that, but you got to kind of pick it up. It's kind of, the rhythm's kind of odd. So basically do it 3 times, and then there's basically the 4th time through it's different. You hit this D power chord, so it's at the 5th fret of the A string. And then it's 7 on the A string, 5, 4 on the D, back to 7 on the A. So it's. Let's repeat that. One more time. All right, and then we have this little ending. And some of the notes kind of sound, it's almost like they kind of almost take it symmetrical down. Some of those notes are not in the key when but it's there in the recording. All right, so we start here at the 8th fret there on the high E, on the B string there. This little last bit of the harmony. So 8 on the B, over to 9 on the G, and then roll from 7 on the B over to 7 on the G. And then play 9, 6 on the G. All right, so after those opening, there, we start descending. So that's gonna 7 on the G, 9 on the D, then 6 on the G, 7 on the D, then 9, 6 on the D, then we kind of do the same we did before, which is 9 on the D. That's why I say it's kind of symmetrical. And then at the very end, they're going to change it up and take it back like that. So after you get here, then you can play it 7, 9, 7 on the G, 9 on the D, 6 on the G, 7 on the D, and then 9, 6 on the D string, then 7 on the D, 9 on the A, then here we're going to mix it up a little bit. 6 on the D string, 7 on the A, and then move up here to the 9th fret, and then over to 10 on the low E. So it is. And then at the very end, that one's kind of really low in the mix. You can hear it. The second one you can't really hear, but it kind of makes sense they did it again. But so it's 7 on the A, then 9, 10, 7 on the low E, and then repeat. So for the whole harmony section here. All right. right, so we have finally made it to the first solo section, but before we do Richie's amazing solo, we're gonna take a look at what Glenn's doing underneath that, the rhythm guitar part. So this is a long solo, so there's a lot of rhythm work going on too. All right, so let me play through that real quick, and I'll show you how what Glenn Tipton's doing. So here we go. All right, so you'll probably recognize some of that. There's kind of extended versions of some of the riffs we've done, and there's just a couple of riffs there that are completely new here. So we're going to start with this first one. It's kind of difficult because there's a lot of string skipping in it. All right, so that's going to start here with this. It keeps rotating back between these melody notes back to the open low E. So that's what's making it difficult. So always kind of going back to the open E. So that's self-explanatory, but what he's doing above it, he goes. So that's gonna be, let's just do those melody top notes first. So the 7th fret there on the A, then 9, 8 on the D string, over to 10 on the A, then 8, 9 on the D again. So kind of back up to that note. So you're kind of keeping that consistent rhythm. And then we go back to the kind of start like we're doing it again, starting from that 7th fret on the A. But right the second time through, when it gets down to that 8th fret there on the D the first time, it jumps back and grabs some power chords. So it's just the power chord off the low E string, off the 3rd fret, 5, 6. So like this. All right, and then we do this, go back here and do this riff again. And just basically do the whole riff one time through. Get back up to that 9. And then he's gonna take it down here. So we're basically just doing that same, keeping that same rhythm going, but over a different root note and different melody notes. So just the root note is here at the 3rd fret on the A string. And then the melody on top is 5, 4 over that. So once again, we keep rotating back to this C. I know it's a C flat or B, whatever. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to the 6th fret on the A string. So that's gonna be the bass note now. And then we're gonna reverse the melody notes, because instead of 5, 4, it's gonna be 4, 5. So it is. So far we have this. And then, oh, sorry. And then you start the riff over again. So we start playing everything again, and just like we did before, when we get to that 8 the second time, and we grab those chords, those 3, 5, 6, we're gonna grab 3 chords again, but they're gonna be different. It's gonna go 3, 8, 6. So we're gonna, instead of that 5th fret power chord, it's gonna be the 8th. So 3, 8, 6. So all right, and then we'll go back into the riff. It's the same ending that we had before, where it goes. All right, now we're gonna take it to B, or B flat in this key, and we have this, goes into this riff. All right, so this one's kind of hard to hear actually because it's so it's kind of buried underneath the solo a little bit. But from what I can hear, you're kind of picking up this kind of thing. We're just going to be like. So that's just 5-2. So you kind of pick 5-2, and you hit 2 a couple times. So you do that 3 times. So. And then you just kind of chug, just kind of down, up, down, up, down, up on that 2nd fret there. Then do this same riff lick again. Now here's kind of a weird thing. There's like you hear a D chord in there, like a D power chord with the A in the bass, but you still hear that, you can still hear the B a little bit there too. So it's kind of impossible to do. So it sounds like there's some kind of weird overdub going on there. I know you got Richie doing that there. So he could, but I don't know. But anyway, so I'm just gonna play the power chord. So it's that D power chord with A in the bass. That's the 3rd fret on the B, 2nd fret on the G, open D, open A. And that's kind of, I know we haven't done the solo yet, but that's when Richie's doing that in the solo. So we basically have this. And then go back to this riff. So the first half is the same, but now we're gonna start going up chromatically. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. We're gonna basically do that riff twice there, and at the 2nd fret, and then once at the 3rd fret, then once at the 4th fret. And then you're gonna do it at the 5th fret and 6th fret, but you're just gonna hit each note once. So it is. So. And from there, that's building up to playing, basically we're back to the verse riff again, and this becomes like an extended version of, this part is when Richie starts doing the kind of, that little section, the little arpeggio section at the end. So we have, that is over basically the verse riff. So we've already played that, but the ending is a little bit extended. All right, so we have this. So everything's the same so far. Right here. So basically, there's a little extension at the very end of it. So, and that ends the solo section. So it starts, this part's the same. And that's, but what we do is take this D major arpeggio, then we take it down to C. So just take it down to the 5th fret. Same picking pattern. And then down to a B, so that's just down 1 fret. Same picking pattern, and then hit a quick little E5 power chord. And there's a little pause there. And then it's gonna go to the verse again. All right, so we have made it to Richie's solo. So let me play through this first solo, like crazy solo. And then I'll show you how to play it note for note. All right, so that one is going to keep you busy for a minute. So it is a fantastic. You know, I can't even choose which solo I actually like the best. I like the second one just as much. Like most time you see people like freaking out about the solo, it's the first one. Probably some of my favorite licks are in the second solo, but this one's very, very killer as well too, and quite epic and long, and it's going to take you a minute to get through. So let's do it. So we're going to start here with these sweeps. All right, so it's going to start with it's just all based around E minor. So that first one, right, you're going to basically start here at the 7th fret, and then over to 8 on the B, and then 9 on the G, and then you're going to, so that's just an upward sweep. And then a downward sweep, so you're going to double that 9. So you hit that 9 twice. That's how you get that. So then you sweep all the way back up, 8 on the B, 7 on the high E, and grab that 12th fret on the high E. So then you're going to come up here. Now it's basically just another inversion of the E minor. So this one's going to start on the D string. This is a 4-string sweep instead of 3. So it's going to start from the 14th fret on the D string, and then you're going to sweep across this E minor, this 12th fret on the G, B, high E string, catch the 15th fret on the high E string, pull back off to 12, and then sweep back down, 12 on the B, 12 on the G, back down to that 14 on the D, and then work your sweep back up. And then end it with an upstroke there on that 15th fret again. So all right, now from there, we kind of starts doing the sweep again. So right there. So he starts the sweep like we did before. Basically the second time when you repeat that, that's the first time, and then the second time do it again. When you get to that second 15th fret there on the high E string, slide it up to 19th fret, and then pull off to 15. And here we're gonna start. We get to this 17th fret there on the B, and here we're gonna go to a B flat, which is here at the. He turns it into basically a diminished shape instead of minor. So that's just the 13th fret there on the B. So he catches that at the very end. And then he does that, he kind of like accentuates it. So accentuates. I don't think that was the right word to use there. Oh, all right, so we have the 18th fret there on the high E, 17th on the B, 15th on the G, and then back to that 18th. So for this half sweep. All right, now here we start a really, really cool diminished lick that I believe when I see him play it live, I feel like he's playing it same notes, but he's playing them slightly different than it was originally recorded, and he's kind of changed how he's fingered it when he plays live. When you hear it on the recording, you hear a very audible slide from this note. So you hear this. You hear that slide, right? But what he is doing live is he changes that slide to be here at the very beginning. So then what it allows him to do is kind of just stay in that position without the. overall, it's the exact same notes. But maybe he just found it more comfortable to play live this way. So I'm going to do it kind of the way he does it live. But I'm well aware that there is a slide from 15 to 12 in the middle of this run that I'm not doing here. Because it's, I'll show you how to do it, actually, just in case you want to do it. Because it's only at the very beginning, and then the second half of the lick is the exact same. So we're basically, if you want to do it and make it sound just like the recording, you're going to pull off from 18 to 15 on the high E string, over to 17 on the B. Then you're going to come across here and play 15 on the high E, 17 on the B, 15 on the G, and then slide down. So that's the little slide, mysterious slide. All right, so you can sweep across that. Just makes it not that hard to play. And then the rest of the lick is going to be the same. So now we can go through the actual lick, how I kind of see him play it live. So studio version and then live version does like that. So it's going to be still that same pull off from 18 to 15 on the high E, slide down to 12, and then you're going to pull off 15 to 12 on the high E, over to 15 on the G, then back to that 12 on the high E string, and then pull off from that 15 to 12 on the G. So it is. So after you do that here, then you're going to continue that same pattern, one more group of 3, which is the 15th fret there on the G, pull back off to the 12 again, and then over to 14 on the D. So far we have this. So that is a pattern that if you're like a Randy Rhoads fan, you'll see Randy Rhoads do. But then right here, Richie Faulkner switches it up. And it sounds really killer when he does it too. So, yeah, it kind of makes it his own. So we're here so far. But now the pattern actually is going to get a little harder to play, but it sounds killer. So what I'm doing here is I'm skipping now. I'm going to pick, so we just did it. We got that far. We're going to go back up to this 15th fret on the G. And here we're going to pick it and then play 14 on the D, then skip back to that 12th fret on the G, then do the pull off from 14 to 11 on the A string. 14 to 11 on the D string there, over to 13 on the A. So it is. Not easy to do. So it's kind of coming out. See that? When he mixes it up, it sounds killer. It's got a little bit of palm mute in there too, really helps bring it up. And then what he does here, he got down to this 13. Now he's going to do that exact same pattern that he just did here, starting here. So that right there, once again, you're going to be picking 14 on the D, skip over to the A string, 13th fret, then 11th fret there on the D, and then pull off 13 to 10 on the A, and then over to 12 on the low E, and pull off to the open E string. So we have the. That is a really cool lip. And then we go into a little bit of a bar dive. When you pull off to the open E, do a bar dive, and then into. So that little phrase is, so after you you're doing a bar dive and you kind of release the bar as you go into this 10th fret here on the A string, then go 9, back to 10, then slide into 12 on the A, play 14, then 14, 13 on the D string, and then a cool little half step bend there at the 12th fret on the B string. And then we have this. Right here, we also have something that is on the album, but he doesn't necessarily do live. So we're gonna start. We're gonna do a whole step bend at the 15th fret. This is what he's giving us a little bit of a breather, and then we have the 12th fret on the high E to the 12th fret on the B, and then go back to that 15 and some whammy bar there. And then back to the 12 on the B, and then to a whole step bend at the 15th fret there on the high E string. And then we have a quick little descending pentatonic. Now he goes down to here live. We have this little, so you basically start on, just do a minor pentatonic alternate pick all the way down. So that's the 12th fret on the high E, and then 15, 12 on the B, 14, 12 on the G, 14, 12 on the D, 14, 12, and then down to 10. So that note right there, that last note, I don't really hear too much. What you hear more on the recording right there is this quick double stop up here. So that's what you're hearing on the recording, a lot more loud. He might be doing this still, but it's drowning out by an overdub that's doing that. But it sounds cool. He also uses that double stop in the second solo. So I'm gonna jump up here and grab that because I think that sounds cool. It's like really kind of jarring. So right at the bottom, you come up here and grab the 17th fret across the G and the B string. All right, and then we have this lick, a couple series of licks here. It looks like this. So he's got some really interesting chromatic licks that he used, very unique sounding. It's almost like Marty Friedman-esque type in certain areas. So he's really put together something that's very cool here. Not very common licks. So we have this. That's the first half of it. So he's doing a lot of picking. He's doing a lot of pull-offs too, and it's palm muted, so it's kind of hard to pick out which note is exactly picked or legato. So it's kind of one of those things you can kind of do what you want with it. Even if they're pulled off, they still sound pickups muted. So we're basically playing 8 to 7. 8, pull off to 7 on the G. I'm sorry, the B string. There's a G note there. Over to the 9th fret on the G, and then go back to that 7 on the B, and then pull off 9, 8 on the G. I'm picking a lot of that though, or you can pull it off. And then the second half of it, that's going to be a 10, 8, 7, then 8, 7, and then over to 7 on the high E string. And then here, this one's, for me, it feels better. Kind of a little bit of sweep. So I got this note here, you're way up here on the high E, then roll over to the 7th fret there on the B string, and then down to the G. To the 10th fret on the G, so it's kind of easier to just kind of sweep it up. So so up, and then I don't know exactly how he's doing it. So after we get it, play that 10, 9, 10, 9 a couple times, then go down to 8, 9. And then this part, I just straight alternate pick. So that's gonna start here. At the 8th fret there on the high E string, go 8, 7, then shift down to 6. This is just kind of how he's fingering it. You can do it. You can do it like that, but I think the finger's a little bit easier how he does it. So it might as well make sense and do it like he does. So 8, 7, and then shift down to 6, and then he plays 7, 6, shift down to 5. And then he's gonna play 6, 5, and then go over to the 8th fret there on the B. So it's just kind of like a chromatic 3-note descending pattern. And then we're back to the 5, and 3 notes down from that, which would be 5, 8, 7. 8, 7 on the B there. Then here, so here, when I get to that, down to the 8, 7, then I'm going to start over 8, 7, 6, then 7, 6, 5. And then we're going to do 6, 5, over to 7 on the G. And then we're going to end it by going 5 on the B string and then 7, 5, 4 on the G. When you get to the G, it's not chromatic anymore, so we have to. All right, here he's going to jump up here. All right, so right there we're gonna. That's gonna be the. So after you get that down here, sounds like he's at that note, but he jumped to the unison of that above on the D. So it's kind of deceiving. So that's gonna be 9 on the D, 11 on the G, back to 9 on the D. Up to 12 on the B. Then we're going to move up here and go, which is 11 on the G, 12 on the B, back to 11 on the G, and then 14 on the high E string. Then, so that's just, he's kind of holding a bar here at the 12th fret across the B and the high string. You pick the B string, and then he's going to do a 14, hammer on 15, pull back on 14, and then back over to that 12th fret on the B. You can have the open. No, not really. So it's kind of just going to go back between those notes. So when here he just goes to this double stop here at the 12th fret across the A and the D. So. And a little bit of whammy bar on it, and then he does a big B minor sweep. So here you can maybe hear it like. It might be, so the first one might be starting kind of higher up on this sweep, and then it takes the whole thing in. So it could sound like that. You kind of hard to hear the sweep first starting here on the G string, and then and then does the whole thing. So that would be 16 on the G, 15 on the B, 14 on the high E. Up here at 19th fret there, pull back off to 14. And then sweeping downward, 15 on the B, 16 on the G, 16 on the D, 17 on the A, and then you go up again by going down here to the root note here, the 14th fret of the A string, and sweeping back up through those notes, hammering back on that 17, and then you get all the way back up to that 19, and you slide it down. So it kind of starts with just the top half of it, maybe. Sometimes I just do the whole thing. So when it gets to that 19th fret the second time, it just kind of slides down from that. Then does a series of 3-note per string sweeps. All right, so those are just. So that's going to start here on the 14th fret on the high E string, a little B major sweep. So that's an upstroke there on the 14th fret, pull off to 11, upstroke there on the 12th fret there of the B, and then you're going to sweep across downward, 11 on the G, 12 on the B, 11 on the high E string. Then do the same thing, 1 fret up, which will make it a C major. I know I'm tuned down, but we're gonna call it C major anyway. And then up at the D major, you're gonna do this one twice. And then you can basically sweep all the way down and up. Do it twice, and then you grab that 17 at the end and pull it up a whole step. So. All right, now we get to this kind of arpeggio section that kind of ends with the big grand thing. Now this one is kind of harmonized and stuff too, but I'm just doing like the main part that you're gonna see Richie do live. So this is when Glenn went back to playing like the verse riff and the solo rhythms. This is when this section starts. So here we go. So those are the initial arpeggios, and there's a little, and then it repeats that, and there's a little ending at the end. So a little tail at the end. So we're gonna start here. This arpeggio is just gonna be pulling off. So an E minor arpeggio by playing the 15th fret on the high E string, pulling off to 12, and then picking the 12th fret there on the B. So he does that 4 times. The picking, I like to upstroke on the high E and then downstroke on the B. People are different. Some like reverse that, downstroke on the high E, upstroke on the B, whatever. But so you do that 4 times, and then you're basically gonna go up to this. You're gonna just change it. You do the same lick, but you're gonna change the top note. So first you're gonna go from the 17th fret, and then the 15th fret again, then 14th fret, and then 15th fret. So this. So you kind of always start it with that first one done 4 times, and then the little melody. And then we're gonna do the same thing here, which is just based around the next inversion up of E minor, doing the arpeggio. So we're just gonna be pulling off from 19 to 15 on the high E string, then over to the 17th fret there on the B. So you're gonna do that 4 times. And then the melody, which is gonna be, but the rest of the lick's the same. So that melody is 22nd fret. I'm sorry, right? No, nope, that's 20th fret. 19, 17, and then 19. And then we're gonna go up here to, so we're gonna, here to this, basically we're gonna be playing this 20th fret on the high E string, pull off to 17, over to 17 on the B. So you're gonna do that 4 times. And then the melody is gonna be 22, 20, 19, 20. So this. And then we're gonna take it down here to pulling off from 19 to 15 on the high E, rolling over to the 15th fret there on the B, just 4 times. And then this ending before we start repeating it, 17 to 14 on the high E, and then the 15 on the B. So you're gonna do that one 4 times. So far we have this. Repeat. Sorry, there was a little bit of mistake in there, but I apologize, but you guys understand. Nobody's perfect. And then we're gonna come back here to the, so after the second time, just repeating everything the same, we'll go back here to the, So that's down to the C major arpeggio again. So that done 4 times here. So that's pulling off 15 to 12 on the high E, and then 13 on the B. And then same thing, 14. 14 pull off to 11, 12 on the B. I like that. The last one kind of sounds a little different. Like he might do like, might be like mixing up that last one. I don't know. Maybe it's just my brain messing with me, but anyway, that's the last one, and then it goes into this lick. Now what he's doing there, he's just play 12 on the high E, hammer 14, hammer 15, tap the 22nd fret, pull back off to 15, pull back off to 14 and 12, and just kind of repeat that. So after you've done like 4 times that lick, you end the solo with a bend at the 22nd fret on the high E. All right, so we were through that first one. So out of this first solo, we go back into the same verse again. So nothing new there. Same verse that we did before. But now when we get to the chorus out of that verse, it's played a little bit different. It's played not with single notes anymore, but just straight power chorus. So it looks like this. So it just basically does that twice. So it still has that single note riff actually in the second half of it, but the beginning of the second, like that. I said that's all power chords. So just basically. So that's just that set. We were doing the power chord at the very end before, but now they're all 3. So pretty easy. And then this rest of the riff is the same. All right, and then we have this kind of chorus variation thing that happens. So after you play that, like the actual chorus riff like that with both power chords twice, then we have this, well, I just call it kind of the chorus variation. So it's that very first half of the chorus, basically repeated 4 times. Here's over this is where you're going to hear the actual Richie's second solo start with some like kind of bar dives and some harmonics and trills and stuff. And then his real solo comes in over the actual rhythm, solo rhythm, which I'm going to cover here too. But you're going to start hearing that solo over this one. But I'm going to cover this riff and then the actual solo under the rhythm before we do Richie's solo. So we have basically this chorus variation. So remember, we just did the chorus here like this. So now we're just going to do this. So you can see that it was just basically that first half of that chorus riff, the power chord version of it, repeated 4 times. Repeat. So you're not doing that. You're not doing that anymore. So it's just straight through. Now the 4th time, I'm going to change it up a little bit, going. So it's just kind of letting it ring a little bit more. Slide up to the 12th fret and then back 8 to 7 and let that ring. And then here we go straight to the solo, the second solo here. So the rhythm underneath this second solo is going to be something to be able to pick up pretty quickly because it's just like the rhythm that we did before. That was. But it's taken down to F sharp. So pretty much the same thing besides that. It's actually a little bit easier. They do a little bit less with it. So it looks like this. All right, so that basically is that same B riff, but here down at the second fret of the low E instead of the second fret of the A. So, and then from here it's just the melody notes are just that 4, 3, 0, 3, 4, just so like we did before, but this is on the A string now. And he doesn't hit that crazy harmonic when you go back down to the 3, so 4. And here we're gonna do a series of power chords, which is the open A power chord, then the second fret power chord off the A string, then the third fret. And so that's all they do. They repeat that exact same way 4 times. So that's what Glenn Tipton is doing. So, all right, so now let's look at Richie's solo. So this is where I start the solo is gonna be back on the previous riff, because when we were doing that chorus variation, that's when you actually hear this solo start. So there's gonna be kind of some dives and some squeals and stuff, and then we get into the solo. It's got some killer licks in this one, so here we go. All right, so that one's probably my favorite. This got some crazy licks in it. A lot of fun to play. But anyway, so we're gonna start here by throwing our guitar completely out of tune before the solo even gets started by doing a dive bar on the low E. And as you bring it back up, pick the string again and just kind of play a third fret harmonic right on the low E string. Now, when I say I'm playing live now, he kind of chooses a higher pitched harmonic to come back up with, so he'll do that live. But on the recording, as we stick with, it's just that third fret on the low E comes back up. And then there's a lot of overdubs here, so you can't catch them all here, but you hear an open G string, a dive bomb on open G, while there's a trill going on. So you can do those together. I don't know if they were done together in recording, but which is just open G string and then trilling between the 12th and the 15th fret there on the B string. And then into a bend here at the 15th. There's another crazy bend going on there too, but we're gonna do this one. To 15th fret there on the B string. So that whole beginning, this is over that chorus variation right there. And then the proper solo starts when we get to that Glenn doing that rhythm. We have this. Something like that. So that's a killer lift. All right. What's going on there? So it's a cool little chromatic lick. It's one of the favorite licks I've heard in a long time. You kind of really stands out when it comes in. It's like, wow, that is a killer sound lick. So what's going on is he's pulling off from 19 to 14 twice. And then he's gonna pull off from 17 to 14 on the B. So that pull off from 17 to 14 on the B from this first half is gonna stay the same. So it's always gonna be pulling off 17 to 14 on the B. But what he does on top when he repeats it is he's always gonna take the top note down 1 fret. The lick is the pattern stays the same though. So we have this 2 pull-offs and then pull off 17 to 14 on the B. And then 2 pull-offs, but now instead of starting at the 19th fret, it's gonna be the 18th fret on the high E. And then 17th fret on the high E string. You can do like that if you want, or I think I did it like that. And then down to the 16th fret, and then the 15th fret. So and then he starts this. It's going to be descending 3-note pattern. So we're going to start with this, pulling off 15 to 4 sets. This is after you got down to the bottom. Well, you've done those 2 pull-offs there, so you're going to do those same pattern off that 15th fret first, and then we start this descending lick. All right, so that's going to do 15, slide down to, pull off to 14 on the high E, over to 17 on the B string. And then we're going to play 14, now starting from the next note down, which is going to be here at 14. So we did 15, 14. Now we're going to start from the 14. 3 notes down from that. 14, pick 17 on the B, pull off to 14 on that B. So now we're going to do 3 notes down from the next note, which is going to be the 17 on that B. Pull off to that 14 again, over to 17 on the G. So it's kind of a blues lick out of the blues scale. It's kind of an F sharp, except for that note. But we have this. So when we get here, now we're going to start 3 notes down from the next note, which is the 14th note on the B. And then pull off from there, 17, 14 on the G. So it's basically the notes we're messing with. It's 2 notes on each string. 15, 14 on the high E, 17, 14 on the B, 17, 14 on the G, and then 16, 14 on the D. So when you take that 3-note pattern, you're always, you're taking that 3-note lick off of every note. So you're going to play, then it kind of tells you where to go. And then from the B string, then the G string, that goes down to the 16th fret there on the D, and then back to that 2nd note on the G string, and then finishes out those last 2 notes. So all right, then what we do is we go and start doing the pattern again, but off of the B string. But we don't do it for quite as long. So we start the same frets. So that's I'm pulling off 19 to 14 on the B, and then 17 to 14 on the G. So the same double the 2 pull-offs on the B string, and then pull off 17 to 14 on that G, and then down 1 note on the B, so that's down to the 18th now, and then 17, and then 16, and that's where we're going to stop that pattern. Sorry. So because when we get down to the 15th fret, we're going to start that triplet pattern, a 3-note pattern. Again, but we're now starting it from here, not here. So since we're starting now the notes, but we're only going to do it across 3 strings, a little bit shorter than the first one. So the notes on the strings here, 15, 14 on the B instead of 17, 14. And then 17, 14 on the G, 16, 14 on the D. So that same pattern that we did before. I'm sorry. Like that. So that's 3 notes down from this 15th fret on B, and then 3 notes down from the 14th, and then 3 notes down from the 17th on the G, and then 3 notes down from the 14th fret on the G. So all together from the B string lick, right here. So all together, all those together. When you get to the end of it, you're gonna grab these double stops here at the 17th fret across the G and the B. Told you those would happen again. Those happened in the first solo. A little bit of connection between the two. All right, then we're still in F sharp here. I'm gonna be dancing some octaves up. That is so super cool. The lick after this is probably one of my favorite licks. It might go under the radar for some people, but these kind of licks coming up is like one of my favorites. So we're gonna start here though. We're still basing it off of the minor pentatonic. He plays these double stops here at the 2nd fret across the G and the B, and then you're gonna pull off 4 to 2 on the A. I'm gonna start on the D string, sorry, and then over to 4 on the A. So, and then basically jump up here. When you do that, you can do a kind of pull those notes down a little bit. Same thing up 12th fret, and then back down, and then back up. So there's some big jumps, especially the tempo that he's playing. And then he does this kind of really little cool lick. So he goes, and now you would think that he's gonna jump up in 12 frets again to do that, but he doesn't. He does it here. Gives us a little bit of a break. So that lick though is pulling off 14 to 12 on the A, over to 14 on the low E, then back to 12 on the A, pull off 14, 12 on the low E. So heavily palm in. And then the same thing an octave higher. So you basically move this up to the 16th fret there on the G, and then that same lick. And then into a big, kind of a slow bend at the 17th fret on the high E string, a whole step in. Now this lick is my favorite. It's like very, very, very cool. So he's got it, he's doing a lot of legato, but he's palming. So it kind of sounds, so it almost sounds like it's picked. So what's going on here is we're gonna play down here at the 4th fret there on the D, and then pull off 5 to 2 on the G, back to this 4th fret there on the D, then up to the 2nd fret there on the B string, and then pull off 5 to 2 on the G again. So I'm doing like a kind of a sweep to start, little down, down, and then down, and then I catch that note on the B string with the upstroke, and then down, pull off. So, and then from there we have 5 on the B string, pull off the 2, hammer back on to the 5th fret, up to the 2nd fret on the high E, and then 5, 2 on the B. So very unorthodox, very cool though. And then he skips up. So that right there is gonna be pulling off 8 to 5 on the B, and then over to 7 on the high, on the B, 8 to 5 on the high E, then 7 on the B, and then go across 5 on the high E, 7 on the B, 5 on the G, into a bend there at the 8th fret. That's why that little diminished thing, and then we did that first solo, when I asked that might be a slide down, that's it that he's using there. It might have, so he probably was that was the shape that he used, because he's using here again in the second solo. And then we have this straight thing out of Yngwie, these 3-string sweeps. So it's either diminished arpeggio, it's just taken up 3 frets at a time, very common in Yngwie world. So that's going to be 7th fret there on the, 8th fret there on the G, 7th on the B, 5th fret on the high E string, and then upstroke, 8th fret on the high E, pull off to 5, and then upstroke on that 7th fret on the B. So, and then you take everything up 3 frets. Then, and then that last one, so it's just 3 tones at a time. So it's at the 5th fret, 8th, 11th, and then 14th. And then the 14th kind of do a little bit longer. Because you go back up, kind of go up, come back down, and then back to that 17th fret, and slide to the 20th. So it is. All right, and then we are to the last riff in the song, and this is pretty cool. Looks like this. All right, so that's gonna start with this. So it's just kind of like a hammer on from 0 to 2 on the low E string. Kind of like, you can keep the F sharp power chord there, just kind of hammer into it. And then up to the 3, back down to 2. I'm kind of keeping the rhythm going between, I'm going. And then because you do that hammer on again, so we have this. And then you kind of start repeating it. And then kind of halfway through, it goes this. So that's just this, come over to the C power chord at the 3rd fret of the A string. Slide down to the 2nd fret. Then the open A string. And then down to the 3rd fret power chord, this G power chord off the low E string. So 3, 2, 0, back to 3, and back to the 2. So when it goes, we're gonna start the riff over. And then we're gonna end the song, so after you play that riff twice, we have this. So it's kind of just that hammer on, hit it a few times, and then 3, 2, hit it a couple times. Here's a kind of a pause there. At the very end. All right, and that is it. So I get it, it's a monster. You've been sitting here for a long time. I guarantee you not as long as I've been sitting here trying to get through this whole thing. But we are done. It is a beast. It is, they really brought it on this one. Both rhythmically, the song and the solos are just out of this world. So very, very, very cool stuff that we still have music like this being released. I wish there was more of it. Unfortunately, no. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.